Okay, cool. We are live. Hope everybody's having a wonderful day. I just wanted to hop on real quick, and basically, I can't even talk today. But I wanted to hop on real quick and basically go over what are some of the things that I was looking to avoid for 2026, specifically when it came to finances. So, if you don't know, my name is Will Zapata. Basically, this is our Beyond the Solar series where we dive into freedom, fatherhood, family, financial fitness, physical fitness, spiritual fitness, overall trying to be the best version of ourselves. Now, basically, the reason why I came up with this was because I was doing some thinking and I wanted to basically figure out, like, okay, what's one thing that I can do differently, not make like a huge change, not do something that was going to be like dramatic or was going to take a lot of mental power. Basically, I wanted to figure out, okay, what's the simplest thing that I can do that can make the biggest impact? And I was saying to myself, okay, I love saving money. I love money. I'm sure a lot of people feel that way. And money is one of those things that I feel like it's a topic that you either, if you look up nowadays, people are telling you how to make a lot of it and what that money could do for you, or like what is the hustle that you can do, or always hustle, 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 invest, and blah blah blah. And that's not really the direction I want to go. I want to talk about more like, okay, what are the things that are in our immediate control? What are things that are very simple that we can do, but they can build the right foundations that are going to make the biggest impact? And some of the financial traps that I said, hey, I'm going to avoid this for 2026 because I think that working on the fundamentals will ultimately, work towards my goal of being free. And to dive a little bit more, what I mean about free, again, this isn't like, oh, I need to have $1 million because I want to spend $1 million, or, freedom means laying back in the beach and never working. That's not what I mean. I mean, basically, being able to create a rhythm that works for you and your family. For me, freedom is being able to spend more time with my children, being able to, spend more time teaching and learning with them, being able to do things that's going to empower them to be better and productive people of society, and then obviously working on my skills so I can also be a productive member of society. And one of the first things that I looked at when it came to, okay, what can I do, again, specifically in finances, that will make the biggest impact? And I realized that I'm like, I can start by eliminating, right? And sometimes, especially if you're in a situation where maybe, you're starting a business, maybe you're in sales, maybe you're kind of going out of, an expected weekly or bi-weekly or even a monthly paycheck, right? Maybe your paycheck is kind of you kill what you've hunted type of thing. Maybe you're in sales and your income can be unpredictable. And I figured, and I thought about it, and I said to myself that eliminating things that no longer serve me will probably be the best way to start. And it's something very small because you can do it right away. In a sense, it's actually eliminating things, and then also it's being more intentional. And what I did today was, I said to myself, I haven't been to the gym in a long time. Not that I'm not working out, but I've changed to running outside when I could. I do a lot of in-home workouts just because of, my children being small. And I was like, I'm spending money every single month that's just not going nowhere. Is it something that's thousands of dollars and is going to translate into something huge? No, maybe not today. However, I looked at it and I said, okay, well, maybe that money that I was spending, that I'm just kind of letting them, charging my card, maybe I can reallocate that to something that currently brings me joy, right? Maybe it's, here's what I did. I'll tell you exactly what I did. On my own example was, I downloaded the Shonen manga app. If you don't know, I love anime, I love reading manga. And, the money that I saved from the gym membership that was no longer serving me, not only was I able to save money, but I was able to allocate something like 5% back so I can enjoy, hundreds of different manga titles that I can learn and, just entertain myself, right? And it was very, very easy to do. I have been on this quest of eliminating things that don't serve me. I think the day before I donated some items to my local savers because I realized that not only is that cluttering my mind, it's also taking up mental space. But most importantly, I'm like, I don't need I don't need it to take financial space. It may not be little, but if you ever heard the saying, you can die from 1,000 cuts, it's usually the small little things that we're not paying attention to that do the biggest damage. And I had been going probably years. Well, maybe not years, but I would probably say I've been going probably at least close to a year plus of me paying my gym membership, and I was just not using it. I was like, okay, I need to get rid of this. I finally made the decision. So again, maybe it's some other subscriptions that you don't need. I've definitely taken advantage of that, eliminating a lot of subscriptions, realizing things that maybe at the moment you need, but you just forget about it because it is so small. And these are tactics that are done because people will usually forget about them. Now, the other thing that I was not falling into, and this is something that was happening for me last year a lot, being 100% transparent, was a lot of anxiety spending, right? Now, I would hide it under the guise of like, oh, I'm going to get a new manga to read or I'm going to get a new book. And then I end up reading the manga, not really enjoying it. I probably don't finish the book or don't enjoy the book. But I realized that I was spending just to basically get myself out of boredom. And what for 2026, what I've done was as I've taken a step back and I looked at, okay, what have I read before? What have I enjoyed? And what can I reread and focus on, hey, maybe I should just reread the things that I really enjoy instead of always trying to, conquer another book or read another manga or, just do something else that I felt like looking back at it now, I'm like, wow, that was a lot of anxiety spending, right? And I said to myself, I'm not falling for that in 2026. I started off the year, I said, I am not going to spend outside of my basic needs. Again, this isn't about depriving myself. It's more about having discipline and basically just teaching myself, like, I don't need to get something now. I can have a bit more patience. Maybe in the future, maybe I can think about it to see if I really want it and it makes sense. And looking back at it, I said, wow, I collected so many mangas. Like, I'll give you, I think I read over like 240 different volumes last year, but even though I enjoyed a lot of it, I realized that a lot of it was not intentional. I was just kind of speeding through it, and I'm like, okay, this year I want to take the moment to look back and just really enjoy, those reads and reread it and go back into it, right? The other thing that I told myself is I'm not falling so much into the trap, and we kind of spoke about this, but of trying to control my income. Sure, you should always work on skills, work on either technology, work on reinvesting in yourself. At the end of the day, you're probably going to be your biggest investment. But one of the things that I can sometimes happen to me is sometimes I'm so focused on my income, and especially if your income is fluctuating or things are changing, you start to like maybe stress yourself. I do this. I'm a stressor. Or you start to overthink it, and you realize that okay, maybe I can't control my income at this moment. Maybe I'm not at the skill set yet. But what I can control is what I'm spending my money on, right? And that's why we started with eliminating things that you don't need because not only does it clear mental clarity, but financial clarity as well, right? And then, another thing too that I'm not falling for is paying for convenience or like I did this in, mostly in business where you're paying for things that are just not giving you value, right? And I did this for a long time. I was, hoping that if I paid enough money, it was going to change it. Or maybe you have, additional services that you need, whether it's for your home or your business that it's not giving you anything, it's not going anywhere, and you're like, listen, I could probably do away with this. YouTube Red is getting like that for me. Side note, but that's a story for another day. But basically, I looked at it as like, okay, if this is no longer bringing me value, if it's no longer serving me, I don't need to continue to pay for this. It's not actually convenient. One of the things that I was looking back on, and I grossly just was like, unapologetically just giving all my money to Grubhub and all these like food delivery services. And I was like, oh my God, I'm bankrupting my children and grandchildren paying for this convenience that doesn't even end up being a convenient because for me personally, I've just grown to enjoy cooking and eating my own food at home. That I'm like, this is better off. I can save the money. And if I'm gonna spend that amount of money, I might as well just cook and eat whatever I want. I don't toot my own horn, but I like to eat my own food. If you don't know how to cook, I highly recommend it. Honestly, and this is me, I don't know how in today's day and age we don't know how to cook. It is such a great connection that you can have with your food. As someone that's always looking for a way to be healthier, to make sure that I can respect my body more. One of the best things that I discovered was cooking for yourself. I don't know, you just respect the food more. I think personally, right? And then finally, this is like something that I wanted to like just take a reflection that I've done is really, trying to outsource things that you don't understand. I did this very early in business where I was very quick to, if somebody knew how to do something, I'm going to outsource it. I didn't understand it. And then I ended up spending so much money because you kind of have to take whatever they tell you at face value. And, not for nothing, but people are just people and they don't always tell the truth. So I had to realize that I need to, kind of start from the basics and start from the fundamentals. And instead of outsourcing things that I don't understand, focus on the things that I do understand, or try to get a good enough grasp of it that when I'm outsourcing it, I'm not just dependent on the other person to tell me what's actually happening and me not have no understanding for it. I'm gonna end it with this. This is a reflection that really, really, really impacted me. Was one of the things that can happen is that if you've ever been in a situation where your income drastically changes, and before maybe you were, I'm just using round numbers, you were earning $10 an hour, right? But now you're earning $15 or $20 an hour. Again, I'm just using it for a very simple understanding point. But it's very easy for us to go ahead and lose the fundamentals that got us here in the first place. For me, I have a very aggressive goal, right? I want to live on less than 30% of what I'm earning. I want to save 50% of what I'm earning. And the reason for that is because freedom at the end of the day is the most important thing for me. I enjoy being able to spend time with my kids. I love spending time with my family. I don't like to be controlled. And what I mean by that is I don't like to be held to, I got to be somewhere at 9. I'm only allowed to leave at 5. It just does not work for me. Not that there's anything wrong with it. It's no longer me. So the reason why I aggressively like to save, why I like to control my expenses, is because I love freedom, just as much as I love air. So I wanted to come off of this, not preachy. This isn't like, oh, get rich this way or do this. It's very boring, very follow the fundamentals, learn to do more with less, be happy with nature, spending time with loved ones, because the things that make us the happiest usually don't cost us anything. Being able to get back to that, I think overall is very helpful for us. So I hope that you were able to get some good notes from this. If you was, I'd love to, hear what you got from this. I'd love to hear your perspective. Other than that, I hope that everyone has a great rest of their day and they take care.